PLD Projects presents Holy Snokes, a Star Wars podcast featuring PLD and Matty Gunner. May the Force be with you, always. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to PLD Projects. Welcome back to Holy Snokes, a Star Wars podcast. I am your host, PLD. With me, as always, is my twin killing acolyte, Matty Gunner. How are you doing, Matty?
We are twins, are we? You and me.
We are. We look exactly the same.
So, which one of us is Arnold, and which one? You're Arnold, and I'm Danny DeVito.
I got the size of DeVito, like in the belly area, so maybe I'm DeVito.
You're also isn't DeVito from New York?
Yeah, I think he probably.
Or is he from Philly? Because I know he's in It's Always Sunny, but
it's a good question. I don't really know his background, but he definitely feels more New York than Arnold ever was. And Arnold's European, so that's you're European. So
I always used to get him and Joe Pesci mixed up when I was younger.
That's fair. I can see
that. They do sound from the same place, right? I'm not just crazy.
No. They do kind of sound like, and they're also both a little diminutive, as you would say.
Yeah.
In fact, I believe, if I could be wrong, I remember reading this somewhere that I think Danny DeVito was considered for the Joe Pesci role in Goodfellas at one point, I believe. That was like before it actually happened. So that's an interesting kind of piece. I could see it. I couldn't see it. I'm happy Joe did it. Obviously, it's an iconic role there, but it is an interesting sidebar for sure. But
I could see Danny DeVito being Joe Pesci in Home Alone.
No, that's
Danny DeVito being one of the wet bandits.
That would absolutely work. Absolutely would work.
he is the best. I love It's Always Sunny. He is the best thing about It's Always Sunny. Like the kind of not even career resurgence he's had, but like he just seems to be having the time of his fucking life making that show.
Good for him. He's always been good to me. I've never not liked him in a show. Whenever he's shown up, I've always put a smile on my face, really. So
what was that show he was on? Taxi? Is that any good?
Way back in the day. Yeah, it was pretty funny. I mean, like it's even technically before my time. Like it's older than me, really. It's back in the day. But I mean, it was really good. Judd Hirsch is in it. Obviously, Andy Kaufman was in it. And it was very much of its time, 70s rough and tumble kind of thing, but it was very fun. I enjoyed it quite a bit. You might like it.
I would have pictured you guys to be like the same year in high school.
That's fair. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I said that and I felt bad. Okay. Like straight after I said it, because I know that a lot of people like to joke about your age, and I feel bad by it because I'm gonna be 33 this year, so people are gonna start joking about my age soon, and like.
I know I'm the old man of the bunch, but you know what? It's okay. I feel young when I'm with you guys, kind of, I guess, something like that. I'm like Yoda, goddamn. When 900 years old you reach, look as good. You will not.
I don't know. I'm doing pretty all right for 32.
Fair enough. All right, let's get into today's episode. Obviously, we usually, if you haven't been to the show before, if you haven't been to the show, hit that like and subscribe now so you can get more of this witty banter. But if you haven't been to the show, usually what we do is we set out the first part of the show to do news, any kind of breaking news or anything we want to talk about, trailers, things of that nature. Then we have a topic of the day. The topic of the day always runs around the episodes. Usually, if there's a show on, it's the review of the episode, which today obviously is our first show back. Our first show back with a active show. So today's review and breakdown of the Acolyte premiere, episodes 1 and 2, which dropped last night at 9 p.m. Eastern. Besides that, we are going to usually do some news with that, but if there's really not a whole lot of news because basically everything in the news this last week or so was all about previewing the Acolyte, pretty much. And since we're going to talk about the Acolyte, it doesn't seem like it's worth getting into news-wise. The only thing I will point out is I, like always, every week went to Star Wars News.net to collate any real news sources, and that's like my favorite site to go to as far as that goes. And they did have an interesting one. They pointed out it's a video interview that took place, a small one, short one, between Dave Filoni and Leslie Headland. And I love those kind of things when the creators get to talk to each other about Star Wars. And Leslie Headland was very excited to talk to Dave. Really, what I got out of everything from Leslie Headland this week and all the interview type things I see is she really loves Star Wars. And really loves like all of Star Wars, expanded universe, current universe, every universe there was. George,
she's one of us. She like really truly is like one of us.
100%. And so she was like, she's like basically open up saying like, I can't believe I'm actually talking to you about Dave Filoni about this. And so she definitely is one of us. And so I always love seeing that. It's like seeing Amanda Stanberg last week, getting the thing from the Hayden Christensen message, and
that was so cool, dude. That was so cool. I saw that literally today. That was so fucking cool.
It's a very joyous, a very great for Hayden. Exactly. And if you didn't see it, what we're talking about is basically StarWars.com posted or got Hayden to record a message for Amanda, who is also one of us. Even before she joined the cast of the Acolyte, she was going to conventions as Padme and loves Star Wars. So she got this message from Hayden, and she did like all of us would do with any kind of celebrity. She had to repeat him saying her name like 17 times and kept going back, and was very excited to talk about it. It was heartwarming, joyous. I love this side. That side of the fandom is great.
I did check as well. Hayden Christensen is not on Cameo, so it wasn't just a cameo that they paid for like James Remar.
Hollywood's own James Remar.
Hollywood's own James Remar.
The real Raiden.
The best Raiden.
The best Raiden, as what the show would say. Okay, this is the Acolyte this week, and of course, this is the first time we get to really talk about it. You and I get to talk about it. I've had some monologues on the show because you've been reading a book. I actually was about to ask you, Matty, you want to get your book? Oh, we don't have to do that this time. Grateful to say. But, let's start out with a simple question. You did your best work to stay completely spoiler-free since I believe you saw the trailer that was at Celebration. Which is a little different than the ones we saw. And that was what you saw. And ever since then, you were trying to avoid spoilers all throughout. You muted every word possible. You put the headphones on while I was talking about it. You turned off Force Center. You turned off Alex and Molly. Any show you watched when they started talking about the Acolyte. A, did you succeed? Were there any last minute gifts, gaffes, whatever? I'm hoping not. And B, was it worth it?
I am happy to report it was a success.
Victory. Good.
Sacrifices did have to be made. Unfortunately, I had to mute some people, not out of any like vitriol or anything. I would still like see their accounts pop up, but it would just be for the non-Star Wars related stuff.
Right.
So a friend of mine, who will remain nameless because I asked him if I could mention him on this show and he said no.
Oh.
He used what's the Microsoft thing called? Copilot to it's like Microsoft's AI.
Oh, okay.
To generate the list of the top 50 terms and keywords related to Star Wars and the Acolyte. I muted every single one of those terms.
Okay.
So nothing got through.
Good for you. Good for you, my friend.
I was literally sitting there for the better part of an hour, copying and pasting and like typing in these words and any like variations I thought might have like popped through.
The spellings and stuff.
And as to the other part of your question, it really was worth it. I genuinely feel like I might do this again.
Oh, okay.
I might do this again for everything going forward because like what the reveal that we're going to talk about later on that's not like a massive part of the show was still an oh shit moment to me.
Okay.
And like I've gone back and I've today and I've watched some of the commentary from some of our friends and there was the whole I'll just get into it, the twin.
You're a spoiler show anyway at this point. Obviously, if you're watching this show and you haven't seen the episodes, you probably should tune out and come back after you watch the episodes.
Yeah, like Molly Damon and Jennifer Landa both, they hit the nail on the head with that.
Mm-hmm.
And, I thought while it isn't a massive reveal,
right,
it is kind of a yeah, duh.
Right.
Watching it, I was like, oh shit, There's two.
Gotcha.
Oh, this is getting out of hand. Now there are two of them.
Now there are two of them. That's right. That was actually definitely spoiled. If you watched the second trailer and you watched it with subtitles on, it had a manless unmarked character come on, and she was saying a line of dialogue, and it says May saying this, and then later on she appeared, it said Osha saying this. So I was like, okay, well, we're gonna have twins. Okay, that's what it looks like. So yeah, but again, if it made you happy, then I'm happy for you for that, man.
So let me flip the question on you now.
Yep.
Did it hinder you at all, having seen all the TV spots? And now I'm not saying did it hinder the product for you, because it's, you know, you love Star Wars, you like to go into these things with an open mind. Did it not diminish, but did it kind of bring it down for a level, because you kind of already knew that certain things might be coming? There might be the reveal of the twins. There might be the reveal of whoever what did Adam from Thank the Maker call him? Zipper Face.
I would say no. I don't think it ruined it for me, because like I was surprised when I saw the May Osha thing, only because like I thought, oh, that seems like it would have been a big reveal, maybe like partway through the show or something, and then it would have ruined it, because it was so. I mean, first episode, not too long in, we heard about the sister, and then we saw like that didn't. So at the end of the day, I was like, oh, okay, so that's really not ruining anything at all. If you're doing something in the first episode and it's done pretty nonchalantly, then it can't really be too upsetting to me. And like I said, anything else, I watch like when I avoid spoilers like you did. I just didn't avoid any. I got to do what I do best, which is I watch basically anything official. Even you said I watched all the TV spots. I don't know if I did.
Okay.
I think I basically watched I actually watched the first teaser that came out, and I watched the trailer when it came out. And I might have watched one or two of the spots that came out, but it got to the point where they started releasing a lot of them, and I kind of like it was like a week away, and I was kind of like, I see it. If I don't, I don't. Sometimes I saw it. I didn't like actively avoid them, but like I didn't really search them out. And I think that's what served me well. Like I knew enough. I think that's what I'm going to do going forward. Is I will definitively watch the teaser and trailers. I like those. I think that gets me hyped for. I go, oh, this is what we're going to see, kind of. And they usually don't throw anything in there. Like the trailers were all stuff pretty much. I think like a lot of the stuff in the first 2 episodes was in the trailer. A lot of it was. There was some that wasn't yet. Some we have yet to see. But overall, I think it's the kind of the new way to do things for a TV show. Like front load a lot of it. Hell, the scene from that was in the Phantom Menace after the Phantom Menace was released in theaters when they played the Acolyte scene. It was basically the first scene of the first episode.
Okay.
That's what it was.
It was the fight scene.
It was her walking in and it was the extended thing. They showed us pretty much the whole fight, not including the ending result of it. Let's put it that way. We ended on the balcony with her like the lightsaber lit. That was like how the scene ended in the theaters that way. So, which makes sense to me. It made absolutely. As soon as I saw it, I was like, "Yep, that makes sense." When I watched the episode last night, I'm like, "Of course, this is what they showed us," because you can't get much like more spoiler for the go. Here it is, all up front. So yeah, no, I think overall, I think we handled it well, and I don't go looking for things. I did like see character names, and I don't mind an initial like what you had missed, for example, was kind of character. Like they didn't go deep into the character names. You'd be like, I'm May. I don't think she used that mech. Like Carrie message. I'm a Jedi Master. I am a fighter, and Yord was got a young Jedi Knight who follows the rules. I mean, it was all kind of like brief character descriptions, and that never bothers me because it's always. And I think they hit everything else. Like their Mother Anastasia, they just said head of a witch thing or something, which we're gonna find out. So I'm okay with what I do. But I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do. I gotta do what I gotta do. It seems like.
But what I mean is, like, when the twin reveal came, were you kind of like, did it take the thunder out of it for you when that reveal came?
I don't think so, because it didn't feel like much of a reveal.
Okay,
like to me,
that's
like
fair.
I mean, even if I hadn't known it, you're saying it did, so I can't take that away from you. Obviously, we all experience things differently.
No, it didn't. It didn't for me. But the reason I ask you this is because I have seen some absolute fucking donks online that have been reviewing this and have said, "Oh, everything was so predictable. There was the twin reveal, which we knew what was coming. Do you know why you guys knew what it was coming? Because you were fucking looking for it, you absolute donks.
Fair point.
You were reading every article. You were reading every little spoiler and tidbit. So to come out and then say, oh, the storytelling was predictable because we saw everything coming. Because you were fucking looking at everything.
Well, here's the thing I have to say about that too. And I'll get off this in this. I know you have a soapbox to get onto a little bit, but
this is the step
the transition
up onto the step up onto the soapbox.
I will say along that side is that we actually had a conversation in the Patreon chat, the PLD Projects Patreon chat with Monty. It was a great chat we had. He was saying how basically he wasn't all thrilled with the episode, but he loved a lot of it and everything else. But he went into it, and he mentioned that a lot of it felt too like familiar to. He wanted to stand out more. I think he wanted more of an auteur, like kind of uniqueness and stuff like that. I kind of understood that. But I countered with something that he kind of agreed with as well, though. Like, because this is the first time we've seen a show that is pretty much completely cut off from anything we know. Like, not at all anything to do with the Skywalker saga, not even tangentially connected to the Skywalker saga. The only way it's connected to the Skywalker saga at all is the fact that Yoda is alive during this time and in the Jedi Council. That's really the only connection we have.
And Yara Poof.
And there's a couple of them out there. There's definitely a couple of them that are around and alive. And I think there might be one more, but I'm not going to spoil you on it because I saw something that may be a spoiler. So we'll find out. I'll tell you when it is when we get there, if it ever happens. Because it was just a background thing anyway, so who knows? But what I will say about it is that because I know a lot of the Star Wars fans out there have been clamoring for this. Get away from the Skywalker saga. Give me something new in this vast universe. And you know me, I've always been kind of like, I don't care. I love the connectivity. But I think the idea for Lucasfilm and what to do is when you have something like that that is so cut off, I think you go back the other way to make other parts of the show feel Star Warsy, feel familiar. So at least the connectivity of the same universe is there, which includes like you get a trope like a twin thing. That's a Star Warsian trope. It's poetry, it rhymes. I know some people overuse that, but like you have the things that make it feel like Star Wars. Like having yours say, I got a bad feeling about this. That's perfectly fine. That's the way it should go. I mean, you gotta have little things like that to connect. And I think maybe this episode or this show might lean a little more into that than something like Andor did. Because Andor had some connectivity to a movie already. It has some, even if Rogue One is only tangentially connected to the Skywalker saga, because it's like, Andor, Rogue One, then into New Hope, and there's a little bit of Vader, a little bit of, things like that. It still had that connectivity to a pretty successful Star Wars movie. This has nothing. So we have to have that connectivity to at least Star Wars in general. So I can't say, like, when people complain about that kind of stuff, oh, it's too, it's weird because I see some people saying it's too Star Warsy and some other people saying it's not Star Warsy enough. I'm like, where are we falling on this? I don't understand. Like, I get people see things differently, but like, I don't understand.
And here's the thing, and I know you were using this term to describe, to use it as like an umbrella term. When people say, and actually, before I go into that, I want to say, because I know Monty will be listening. Monty, I wasn't mentioning you. Like, Monty is someone who consumes a lot of art and a lot of media. So and I even said this to him. I was like, I don't agree with you, but like at least you're coming at this from like an informed and an educated and an analytical opinion. So I respect it. It's 100%. The people that use the term that you just used. And I know you're not using it in the same way. The people that say, and I heard, I don't know why the fucking idiot, why Theory was appearing on my fucking Twitter timeline this morning, but he said the costumes weren't Star Wars. They didn't feel Star Warsy enough. The story didn't feel Star Warsy enough. I'm like, please expand on that. What does Star Warsy? Because last time I checked, that's not an adjective in the Oxford Dictionary of Star Warsy. That's not a way to describe something. So is it because that other fucking dickhead, the right miserable bastard R&B that was saying there's no fires in space, like even though the Death Star blew up in the very first movie,
but there's explosions, but not fire, Matty.
There was a giant fire. Yeah. Oh yeah. Apparently that if it's from oxidized from inside, there's still fucking oxygen. You absolute fucking moron.
I
But like it just idiots like that, like Star Wars Theory and R&B, they throw out these lines like it's not Star Warsy enough, or they blame the showrunners when all they've done is create shows about being in conversation about other people's work or celebrating other people's work when they've never actually created anything themselves. People like those two and others. I'm trying to be as peaceful with this rant as I can and not explode with rage, even though I am dying inside to just lose my fucking mind and go nuclear, as our good friend PJ Campbell has, often coined that term. But I'm just like, dude, maybe you guys don't love this as much as you say you do, because all you do is bitch about it. And then when I say things like, well, what do you mean by it's not Star Warsy enough? There's no response. It's all buzzwords like poor writing, or there should be no nails in Star Wars, or fires in space in a completely fictional universe. You know what I mean? It's just like, if all you've got to do is just bitch about this shit, and just maybe you don't love it like you say you do. And I'm tired of not calling these people out on it. And I'm sorry to do this on your show. These words do not reflect PLD's opinion. They reflect mine. And if you have a problem with them, my social media handle is right there, or you can actually talk to me.
It's our show. It's our show. You're definitely allowed your opinion. Absolutely. And I'm not gonna say I don't agree with it, to be honest.
But I'm just like, we're 2 episodes in here.
Right.
2 out of 8. You got to allow this story to breathe, and to go after other creators, to go after the dude. What's his name? Manny Jacinto?
Yes, Manny.
Because he said Anakin instead of Luke.
No, it wasn't Manny Jacinto. I'm sorry, it wasn't Manny. It was the actor who played Yord. I'm not sure what his name was.
Oh, okay. Yord sounds like someone who would stumble over names.
Charlie Barnett.
Charlie Barnett. I apologize. Charlie Barnett. Please come at me for not knowing the actor's name. For him saying Anakin instead of Luke. The lady who plays what's her name in Andor? God, I should know her name. The Imperial.
Oh,
Dedra Miro.
Dedra Miro. Yep.
She didn't even know what Ewoks were.
Right.
Who cares, dude? No. This is a job to them.
Yes, I agree. I gotta say, I want to see the same energy. When you come after like Charlie Barnett, use that same energy for Harrison Ford. Harrison Ford could give a shit about it. Harrison Ford could know nothing about it.
Could give a fuck about Star Wars.
But he still does a good job, doesn't he?
Hey kid, it's not that kind of movie.
Exactly.
Like,
fully agree.
I'm just so sick of it, because I typed in the Acolyte earlier because I was looking for Alex and Molly's review, and all I could see was people just like videos from 4 months ago that had the title of like, why the Acolyte is already dead. Like, fuck you, man. What have you ever fucking made? Like, what have you done with your life? And I can't say I've done much, PLD. Like, I've done some stuff that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Will it have any legacy lasting impact like Star Wars will? Probably not. Hopefully one day I get to do something that cool and that meaningful. But I'm probably not. So who am I to say what the fuck have they done? Right? But in the end, what the fuck have you done?
They've actually, the worst part about it is some of these thumbnails were like pre-made before the show even came out and before even screeners came out. Like, you saw them on there, how can you? I don't know.
Dude, like, stop me when I'm wrong. Please stop me when I'm wrong or when I'm going too far. But we have this with every fucking show now. Even one that is set that is like does not connect with the big the overall Skywalker saga, or doesn't connect with like the EU. It has some little touches of the EU. It has some touches of the High Republic, which I fucking love, because Leslie Hadlin just like pop those in there, just like, you go, little sprinkles of it. We're not gonna insult your intelligence. And like, I saw that one of our patrons put in the chat, like someone saying, oh no, I'll tell you who it was. It was Johnny C from all Star Wars things, put that someone said, I've heard that episode 3 is going to break Star Wars canon. It's like, so you've heard, and this isn't Johnny saying it. This is just his tweet that I saw. So you've heard it. You haven't seen it with your own 2 eyes.
Right.
you just heard that it's going to
Mhm.
break the entire canon of a 50-year legacy of movies, TV shows, books, comics that really doesn't have a set canon. You're saying one episode of a show is going to undo everything.
If I may interject, I think that this is a game of telephone, because from what I've heard, it isn't just canon. It's that it will kill off anybody who's a Lucas fan, a pre-Lucas fan, and anybody who's still hanging on to Disney will finally be killed off, because finally killing Star Wars and burying it for whatever reason, not from a moment. It's stupid things, and we know what month it is, so we know it's probably going to be in there. That's would make these people mad. We're going to have something like the dreaded pronoun or something like that, and that's going to break Star Wars and kill it for people.
How can you kill something that's not even yours?
I don't know. I don't know.
Right, it's just
if this is going to kill it for you, then bye.
If it's going to kill you, then bye. Fuck off. I don't want you here. Peace out.
Go read Timothy Zahn's novels. And that's not a knock on Timothy Zahn. That's like the EU thing. Go read the old EU stuff. Go watch the original trilogy. Go whatever.
And if that's not enough for you, go watch Camp Your Bitch about it for the next few hours.
Fair. Any more people you want to call out and assassinate before we get into some positivity about the show?
Yeah, I had to get that out.
I know you did.
Dude, I'm sorry. I really did have to. We gotta start checking these people, man. Like, I know people like want to protect relationships within, like, they don't want to upset the apple cart, and that's fine. I'm not one of those people.
Okay.
I don't care if these people have a problem with what I say and they approach me about it. Please do. I invite you to. Let's have that conversation.
Okay. Absolutely. I mean, hey, you're a co-host on the show. You have your 2 cents, and more power to you, my friend. Absolutely. I think I will say the only reason I tend not to is not to protect relationships. It's more about, I just don't want to get dwelled into negativity at this point. And I understand why you do. Not that you want to, but I say why you have to talk out. I try to have a fun, positive show myself. I can just talk about the things I love and everything else. And it's not like I'm going to shill it out. Well, I mean, I will shill it out because I love show. I love Star Wars. If you call me a shill, then chill me. You're going to be surprised that I have some non-chill things to say about the Acolyte overall as we get to it. But it is what it is. I'm going to say respectfully, and that's I love conversations. Like I mentioned at the end of our conversation with Monty this morning. I love having these conversations where we had like disagreements, but like we pointed out different things and what worked, what didn't work, and everything else. And that's fine to have.
Not everything worked for me. There was a couple little things that I was like, yeah, probably could have done without that. But I'm not the showrunner of the show. So, end of the day,
I love being the middle ground, and that's the worst thing about fandom that I've had recently. There is no more middle ground. There is the one side. If you love it, you're a shill. If you hate it, you're a hater. And there's the space in between where I think most people should start to aim towards a little bit, and that's okay.
100%.
I'd rather err towards positives. I'd rather just be positive, but that's me. I fully admit to everybody. I had a conversation with somebody the other day. I fully admitted to them. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna probably like it more than not, because even if I do pick things out, I just enjoy being in that world. I enjoy being in the universe so much that just takes care of a lot of any negativities I have, anything I have about it. I fully admit that. I'll be honest when things don't work for me as well, but those things just usually don't kill it for me. So
you taught equilibrium and several new ones to my face.
All right, let's get into this episode, or the episode rather. Cool. We have been ranting on a little too for a while now. Let's break into some positivity, and and rational negativity as well.
Constructive criticism.
Yeah, absolutely. We had 2 episodes which were hyped, and I was actually very happy to see that. For the most part, honestly, going back, one last thing I'll say, I was reading a lot, scrolling, and I felt like it was more positive than negative out there, which is I was happy to see. Overall, I found more positive than negative. So
we just got to stop amplifying the negativity.
That's what I'm trying to do exactly. I will say, we always, if it is our first time here, hopefully you're sticking around still. We will talk about.
They will, because I've just caused a shitload of drama, so we're probably going to get some clicks on this.
That's right. Drama. That's close on that. We always go through these shows in segment form, but I will give you my kind of brief overview first. I will say that I was very happy by the end of episode 2. I will say that episode 1 was a little struggle for me to get into. It kind of felt a little. I did not like it, but it kind of felt a little like I was working my way into it. And that's partially because I think we had to introduce so many new things, so many new characters, so many new positions of the timeline things. And I was glad for the familiarity I talked about earlier. We had a couple of cool things right off the bat. Like we got to see the Moidians again, got to see the Kubaz species, and we got some little piece of things like, oh, that feels familiar. That feels familiar. But I will say it did its job. I remember coming out of the premiere, but it was really hyping it up. I was hearing a lot of people hyping it up. When I got through episode 1, I was like, okay, cool. But I got through episode 2, I was pretty locked in by episode 2, and I can say, yeah, I like this. I like where we're going. Let's see.
So you think they made the right call putting the 2 episodes together?
Absolutely. Like, because if we had just gotten the 1 episode, it would have been like, okay, let's see what's happening. At the end of 2, I'm locked in.
Okay.
What were your overall quick thoughts?
I was so enamored by just what we were seeing from episode 1. Like the fight scene alone.
Love that.
I was talking with our friend Auden Diaz earlier, and the very first thing he said to me was, "You must have geeked the fuck out about the hand-to-hand combat." Boy, did I ever.
I was thinking of you.
And here's the thing. It's not for the reason you think it's going to be.
Okay.
It's not for the choreography.
Okay.
This was pure Jedi pacifism in that I will engage you in combat, but I am not drawing my weapon until it is the absolute last resort. And this is when you have May saying, strike me down with all of your strength. She wants, was it Indira? Sorry, I'm thinking of Indira Varma. Indara, she wants her to pull that saber.
Right.
Because this is a time when the Jedi's kind of their reputation is starting to crumble a little bit. There are people questioning the Jedi's motives and the Jedi's methods. So if Indara was to pull her lightsaber in public and kill her on the spot, that's exactly the type of image that Zipper Face is wanting to do. And we're going to get into more of that later because he says a couple of things that kind of rang in my head as someone who's not opposed to the Jedi, but I don't agree necessarily with all of their doctrines and all of the way they do things. So I feel like I have a little upper edge on seeing where the old Zipper Face is coming from. But dude, that scene in the bar was so spaghetti western.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Just like the barkeep like hiding behind the bar, everyone kind of scattering onwards because they know, okay, the 2 like main gunslingers are about to go at it.
Right.
So good.
I will say, like, it was good. I love the fact that it first really opened up in it's like a cantina, so it's like going back to episode 4 almost, just minus the musicians there. No, I agree with you 100% though, and I love the fact that I'm going to compare it now. I liked a lot of what happened and what was said was all like not exact quotes, but they sound familiar. Attack me with all of your strength.
Strike me down.
Strike me down with all of your hatred. It's like the same type of thing. It's just kind of like familiar, but not quite the same. And you're right. That's what she's goading her into doing. She wants her to do the dark side. And Dara won't do that. She doesn't do it until other people are attacked. She does it in defense only. Although I will say also that I love the fact is that like our friend, our friend from the Force Center, Joseph Scrimshaw, would come out and say he's always about protecting the Jedi. He loves the Jedi and thinks that they sometimes are vilified too often. And I get that. I absolutely get that to a degree. But specifically, I think this show did a good job of not necessarily vilifying them all, or by vilifying the more of the dogma,
the doctrine.
The doctrine, exactly, the doctrine. But some people were good with it. They were basically a good group of people going astray, not an evil group, not a bad group. They're a good group of people going astray. And you see some of that. You see Indara doing the right thing. And again, not drawing her lightsaber until she absolutely needed it. Then you have somebody like Yord who draws it almost immediately.
Yeah.
And we'll get into Yord a little bit later, I think. But it's a good
Dwight
justification of who we are. Yeah, Dwight Schrute of the Acolyte. No, but I totally agree. I thought of you when I said, and I love that the
The
connection.
wire work, I will say, the wire work was incredible. The way that like she stopped the knife with the force, and then they both just go flying back, and
good.
like Indara has that look on her face of, oh shit, like what have I got myself into here? Like,
Right.
and then you get the pull when May pulls the thing down, pulls her mask down, and
Right.
Indara goes, you,
right,
because she thinks it's Osha,
right.
or does she?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure about that because I think because all of a sudden that like white like signal or the insignia on her forehead, the tattoo, I don't want to say tattoo, but whatever it was, I don't think Osha didn't have that on things. So I think she knew that. So I kind of I think that's why she's like, wow, really? Because they thought she was dead. So that's part of it, I think. But and she would know what she looks like though, because she does know what Osha grew up to look like. So that's why it's a little different in a way. Like, okay, I can see it. Yeah, no, that's a great. It was a great beginning. I got to tell you for that one. So, any other overall quick bits of where you were? Like, what did it match up to your opinion, or did you, or where were you throughout? Were you immediately sold?
Yeah, from that scene, yeah.
Okay, fair.
I was in, and then yeah.
Okay.
I will say it's probably a little bit of a spoiler, but like you tweeted this morning, I saw it. I am fully like I am a card carrying member of the Soul Squad.
The Soul Squad? Yeah, we're gonna try to form Soul Squad. Absolutely. I will say right now. I mean, you know what? Let's save it. Let's
get into the segment. Let's get into the segments. Let's
get into our segments. Every episode of this show here at Holy Snokes, we always start off with one segment. This one, it wasn't so hard this time, I will say, but we'll go through it anyway. It's Honda Watch 2024.
Who wants to see Honda? Talk to me.
Did we see Hondo Ohnaka in this episode as he finally made his return?
This effort is no longer profitable.
Nope.
I genuinely thought we did at one point.
Oh, really?
There was a moment when they were like going through the streets, and it was like just as they were about to go to the apothecary, there was a guy who sounded kind of like Hondo and was wearing a red coat.
Really? I missed that.
So I was like, oh shit, rewind. Is that like a little flash of Hondo? It was pure like woke up super early to watch it. Wasn't completely all there.
Gotcha. Okay, fair enough. I mean, I was saying before, I said like this one didn't hurt as much as I really don't expect him to be. He's 100 years before Fandom. I don't know how long Weequay lives, and it's obviously malleable because like they can make these species live however long they want to. Like it was 100 years before, it might be 300 years now because that's just how things can change when their canon is changing. But either way, I don't expect him to be anywhere near. If he's alive at this point, he is definitely in diapers at this point. So
if only there was a website that we could look up that's kind of like the Wikipedia of Star Wars. Oh, we do. The average lifespan of a Weequay is up to 90 standard years old.
Well, I didn't mention Wikipedia because I did say that things have changed. I can't remember off the top of my head. There was a lifespan that in the pre-Disney era was like 90 to 100. That now in Disney canon they decided because they wanted a character to appear was like 200 to 300, something like that.
How sad is that? They don't even make it to 100.
I know. That's what's sad. Maybe Honda's long lived. He did something right. I don't know. We'll have to see. But I don't expect to see
9 lives, let alone 1.
I will put the segment in because it is Holy Snokes tradition, but I will say I am not expecting him. I am not expecting to see Hondo during any of these 8 episodes. Maybe Hondo's grandpappy, and that would be great. Maybe it's a Hondo grandpappy watch or whatever. John Doe. I don't know, something whatever.
John Doe.
John Doe. I love it. That's what it is. Let's do it.
That's perfect. We are on John Doe watch.
John Doe watch.
That was great.
Oh, that is the first thing we always do. Let's get into our next segment. We're going to call this one the Acolyte of the Week.
But an Acolyte kills the dream.
This is the segment where we discuss our favorite character of the week or of the episode. And since we are doing 2 episodes, we tend to go like this is the first episode and this is the second episode. We're going to do it both at once. We don't have to go all the way down and go back and go all the way back down again. So, but in this case, I'm going to give you a spoiler and do both of my characters in the episode because, quite frankly, it's the same character for both 1 and 2. Soul Squad, hashtag Soul Squad. I am in love with this character so much. He reminds me of Qui-Gon in all the best way possible.
Yes, he does. Yes.
Right? He absolutely does. He feels like a Jedi who is not afraid to go against the grain when necessary. Nope. He wants to do what's right. He's more concerned with what's right than what's political or what's like, supposedly going to help them out. He had some great scenes like with Venestra. First of all, I love how he says Venestra. And I know there's been stupid talks about like, what's his name again? I don't remember his name.
Li Jung-jae.
Li Jung-jae.
Which we gotta give him so much
credit.
Like I've watched him in a few things. He does not, like in interviews, he doesn't speak English.
He learned English for the show, specifically.
Yeah, he learned his lines in English. Like,
and that, oh my God, he was able to deliver them with all the emotion as if he was a native born speaker. Sure, there's an accent. Sure, it's a little thick at times. But I think it actually adds to the character. I think it adds everything. And I love, like I just said, I loved how he said Vernestra. And it sounded majestic, and I'm like, I love this about this. It adds such depth to the character. What great character choices!
And it also speaks to like he might not be from Coruscant because like you have Venestra herself, who is like also her sentences are a little jumbled, so like it adds to like he's from somewhere else, but he still learned Galactic Basic to be able to communicate with people.
Right? Yeah.
Much like Li Jung-jae as a person who had to learn English for these. For this role,
right?
And
absolutely
learning. I'm currently in the midst of learning Japanese for next year, like just enough to get me around.
Absolutely,
it's so incredibly hard because it's such like a context based. And I looked it up, like Korean as well is like also like a very context based language. So for him to like learn a new language, like I can't say enough about the man and Soul as a character as well, dude. Keep singing his praises, please. Like, just taking the words out of my mouth.
He is the epitome of what a good Jedi should be. He is that bright, shining light. He is a leader. People should look up to him. If you are his Padawan, I mean, he's not arrogant. He's actually self-deprecating. He actually has doubts, which I love to see in Jedi. Instead of being so arrogant, he's like, you know what? He had that great conversation with May, or not with May, with Osha, where he's kind of like, you know what? Like, I've tried teaching you how to let go of what happened in the past. And she's like, yeah, I wasn't a very good student. And he's like, maybe I wasn't a good teacher. And, maybe he wasn't, because he knows that you can't reach everybody the same way, especially about something as emotional and fiery as that. You see, like the kid the Padawan in his class who says, I saw fire. Well, the one we all thought was Osha. The trailer, we all think, oh, that's a flashback. And it's young Osha. It's not, but that's okay. But it's somebody
dead.
And he just kind of like he got that motion. He's like, he's like, oh, this is tough, but he knows better than to point it out. So he kind of twists and turns a little bit. And how can I make this into something good for the class, a lesson that's good? He's like, the Force can be powerful like a fire or like an ocean or like anything else, even though it's great moments like that. But it's moments where he's also willing to learn and not get stuck in his mud. He's like, no, May is dead. I saw her die. Goes to Osha, has a couple minutes with her, and is like, "Yep, May's alive," because he believes in her as an apprentice, and he obviously has that connection with her that he's able to see that she knows that she didn't do it, so it's the only thing that makes sense. I wish I had better ways you could say it, but he's majestic, he's educated, he just sounds so great when you listen to him talk. He sounds like this. He sounds like a monk that you should listen to. Powerful Force, and I can't wait. And his fight sequence when he was fighting May, that was fucking beautiful.
So good.
Because he just watched the whole thing. He's like, "Yep, I got this." He's like, not ever really winded at all. You can tell how powerful he is. He's flipping around. He's like, he's like behind her when he was like, the speed. It's not about attacking at all. It's all about just basically just parry that.
It's very, very like traditional martial arts. Like you go back and like watch like movies like 36 Chamber, Twin Warriors, Fearless, like old school martial arts movies. It's a lot of like just using momentum and use it, like a lot of stuff that I give, like it's not practical,
right?
In like actual combat. Right. Like I would never like walk someone into a gym and like start teaching them it. But in terms of like the spirituality of it and the connection to the earth and to the wind and to everything, like on a spiritual level, like yeah, that makes perfect sense for them to. I'm not expecting, you know, Saul to start walking forward with a high guard and start throwing elbows and stuff. Like, no, like this is
right.
very spiritual, and like he's a very, like you mentioned, he's a very spiritual person. I will say though, I do think he's hiding something.
I think there's a lot of things that are being hidden right now because, and I'm going to get into that in a bit. I don't disagree. I'll talk about that in a little bit. There's something I have to say about that at some point. But go
Before
ahead.
we move on, can I give an honorable mention?
No, 100%. So Saul was yours for 1 and 2 as well?
Saul was mine 1 and 2. Absolutely.
Okay, fair.
Honorable mention to Pip.
I knew you'd love Pip.
I love Pip. Pip he's so cool.
Absolutely.
I was worried when like she pulled his head off to get out the door. I was like, oh, did she just break him? But no, like she put him back together, and yeah, I was very relieved.
Pip is he's one of the more malleable droids we've seen. Like he can just do almost anything you need him to be. He's like a Swiss Army droid, basically.
And the chair droids as well. How like when they shut down, they kind of like their arms went up like that, like they were like taking their hands off the wheel.
I had that in my notes for later on. I was like, chair droid. We have Transformers in Star Wars now. I love the chair droid so much. This is so great. I'm like, more than meets the eye.
I want one.
I do. I want one too. They can pilot things for me. A car like that with an auto driver like that. Just kind of switch it back when I want to sit and drive it.
That's gonna be the next addition to the Cybertruck.
Perfect. I love it. If not, we're gonna throw out honorable mentions. I'll throw out there too. I mean, I just want to throw out that Amanda Stenberg did wonderful in her role as both May and Osha. Very powerful. I'm all in on her and on her relationship with Soul, and also Manny Jacinto as Kamir. I thought was a he almost was my episode 2. He was almost my episode 2 character. I loved his character. We're gonna talk a lot about him in my Force Vision, I'll tell you. But we're gonna go into that later on. So yeah, but those are the ones I want to throw out there. So all right, let's get into our next segment then. I spec.
The ability to speak does not make you intelligent. Now get out of here.
Our favorite lines of dialogue from the episode. Love seeing Jar Jar there still after watching Fan Minutes again. Still love it. All right, your first line. I'll let you go first from the first episode. Go.
It's with Zipper Face, and it's the line you already mentioned.
Oh, okay.
The Acolyte, he's speaking about you have to kill the Jedi without the weapon because neither steel nor laser can kill them. An Acolyte does not kill with a weapon. The Jedi are living a dream. The Acolyte doesn't kill with a weapon. The Acolyte kills the dream. I was like, whoever wrote that?
Right. Oh, absolutely. Right. So right at the end of the
last line of the episode.
Yeah.
The
absolutely.
Acolyte kills the dream.
Absolutely. Oh, I love that one. That was absolutely a great one for that, for sure. I loved it, and I'll say that I forgot to write it down. I thought I did. I must have erased it, so I'm gonna have to look and see what the exact line of dialogue is. But it was in the very first scene. It was the very first scene between Indara and May, and it's when Indara takes out her lightsaber. And what does May say at that point? Something. I can't remember the exact line that it was, but it was like, "A Jedi never takes out her lightsaber and is prepared to kill."
Yeah, that's it. That's what she said.
I brought by a word or two.
No, that was it.
Okay, perfect.
It said a Jedi never takes out a Jedi never unveils their weapon until they're ready to kill.
Until they're ready to kill. And I was like, oh, that's so perfect because it's she's goaded her out. There's a Jedi doesn't pull her weapon unless prepared to kill. That's the exact line. I had to play the background. I was like, oh, let me get to it. All right. It made me like, because like it even stopped her for a second, even stopped Indara for a second. She kind of stopped in a minute, like almost like, am I being goaded too much? But it really says something about where the Jedi are, about what May's views of the Jedi were, and it emphasizes what had happened before, because this is towards the end of the fight where she had not pulled out her lightsaber. She was blocking, she was throwing around, she was just knocking the knives down, and she gets up there and boom, Jedi doesn't pull her weapon unless prepared to kill. I'm like, that's so true. It's so great. It's what a Jedi should be, and I loved it. It was a great. It's a samurai type moment. It's a powerful thing. I loved that line perfectly. Yeah. All right. So go ahead. What about your second episode, Revenge/Justice?
Because there was a lot. I'm gonna have to go with how do I say Manny Jacinto's character? Keep forgetting how to say it.
Chimera, I think.
Chimera, that's it. They set up the line of using the Sith code so well, of like making it seem like he was just using it as like a throwaway.
Mm-hmm.
But then you have May kind of dismiss it and be like, yeah, I know, peace is a lie, I get it. Like, they both know the Sith code, and it's not just a little like, oh, that sounds like the Sith code. No, they are quoting the Sith code. So we're going to talk about it Force Vision, but
yes, we are. Yes, we are.
You and me,
do both of us explore Force Vision.
Yep.
I will say that actually the funny thing is, we have to talk a little bit about it here because mine is also a Chimera quote. You look exactly like her.
When he figured it out.
Delivery of that line was so sinister, and like he went from like, again, more Force Vision, but he went from like bumbling, sidekicky, evil henchman villain
Han Solo without the Riz
to all of a sudden someone with a lot of someone who can be very intimidating very quickly. It felt like just had this like moment of I was very powerful. I love it. I actually got goosebumps when I heard it and I saw it. And I found it funny that when the Jedi came back in, he jumped back to the, I don't know what you're talking about kind of thing. But just for that moment, that line delivery was just spot on. I loved it so much. I'm so happy. I'm so happy that I just want to say real quick. I'm so happy because Manny Jacinto was somebody I was worried about, and not because I don't think he's a good actor. But I was like, I hope I don't see Jason from The Good Place the entire time. That's what I was like, kind of like, and I know that's a dumb thing, maybe because like he's an actor. He's playing different characters, different roles. He can do it. He's talented. But Jason was such such a character. Sometimes you have a hard time looking past that kind of role in somebody, and. He was good. He was great. I didn't see him at all, so it's good.
Yeah, he made me think of like your son is an anime fan. I know you've been exposed to some anime, like the old village elder that's kind of like creepy looking. That is like you still kind of look at him funny, you look at him sideways, like that ultimately ends up being like the big bad.
Right. It's yeah.
He's like the village drunk that turns out to be not as much of the village drunk as we think he is.
Right. So I was glad for that. Very glad for that. All right. Anything more before we go on?
Oh, let's keep it moving.
Okay. Next up, put that in your holocron and snoke it, or explore more lore.
Do you ever hear the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise?
We take some from the episode and go, we want to explore more lore and see what happened here. We want a book, a comic, something like that. I will say, but first, for the first episode, I am quite 1,005,000,000% positive we're getting it in the series. So it almost is like a cop-out way to do it, but I don't care. Brendok. I got to see what happened on Brendok at this point. There's just so much going on Brendok. We have this, she started the fire. What did Torvin do to have to go into the Barash vow, which we'll talk about? You said that Saul, you think, is hiding something. I think it has to do with that as well. There is something going on there that we don't know about that created a disaster that was come down. I think that's the secret. That's the murder mystery angle. Because this was pitched as a murder mystery show kind of thing. And yet we know who the murderer is. So it's not a whodunit. So what's the mystery? I think that is the
why done it
happened. So why done it? And what happened on Bardock. So I know we're going to get that. That if we didn't get that, that would be because Leslie has said in an interview that we are going to get answers. Like, this is not going to be a show that leaves you off. Like, they're going to be like spot at the end where you could go on with these characters if they went on, got a season 2 or whatever, but like that the mysteries of the first season were going to be answered in this season. So I have no doubts we're getting flashbacks of Bardock, or Brendock, I should say. So what about you? What for your first episode?
Sorry, I left my window open so you can hear people outside. The first off, I just want to say, cue Billy Joel. We didn't start the fire. Shout out to the Star Wars sessions. I cannot take credit for that one. The Star Wars sessions posted that on their episode and their review, and I was laughing for a good 2 minutes. It was hilarious. I agree. I'm going to say a little bit off that I want to see Saul make an appearance in the publishing initiative. If they choose to continue it, I would love to see like more of Saul. But we need to, and I think we are going to find out what happened, because that seems to be the big mystery, the big cover up. Because this is a cover up. Make no mistake. Yeah. And the Jedi have covered stuff up before. Going back to the books, the High Republic, they covered up the Nameless, and look how that worked out for them. It went terribly. Right. So I also want to know what happened. I would love to know who's responsible, why they chose to cover it up. Because when she goes to kill Torben, I think the Master Torben.
Yeah, the one that was floating.
He says, "I've been waiting for you."
Yes.
And then he says, "Give him what he wants."
Right.
Absolution.
Right.
So it's like, and then as he's about to drink it, he says, I thought we were doing the right thing.
Right.
I feel like, all right, I'm going to throw a bit of speculation out here to this.
Speculate responsibly.
This is very, very speculative responsibly. The prisoner said he felt darkness within Osha. I wonder if we get a little bit of its poetry, it rhymes, of the Jedi sensed darkness in one of the twins and thought it was Osha. Mm. That's why Saul saved her. Mm. So they went to put an end, how they thought was best, to this darkness that they were feeling, accidentally ended up burning the entire village down. I think maybe the fire was potentially an accident, or maybe like to cover up what they were trying to do. This is just my true crime brain kicking in here. But like, it would be cool to have that kind of, its poetry, it rhymes with the sequel, with what happened to Luke. Of the downfall of the Jedi, of they have just, it's clear that they vanquished the Nile at this point. So they're riding that high. You know, you've got Vanessa Rowe already talking that they've got political enemies, which that scares the crap out of me, hearing Vanessa Rowe talking like that. Because then it's like, you're already under the Republic, the politicians' thumbs? Like the Jedi showing up with like cops with fucking choppers in the air, throwing down like spotlights. So I'm wondering if like, because the prisoner said he felt darkness coming from her. And of course they're twins, and you have that scene between Osha and May as children where she's like leading her in, and she says like, May is one, born as two. Like, I wonder if there's like some kind of dyad, like Rey and Kylo, like
that's
one being within the Force, just two separate bodies.
It's an interesting idea.
And the Jedi maybe were like, they sensed it coming from one of them, but wasn't sure which one.
And made the wrong choice, maybe, is what you're saying.
Just something.
It's possible. It's absolutely possible. I'm going to not comment any further.
Okay.
Because there is some more leader on that I'm going to get into as part of my thing. Yeah. So, okay. All right. So then for me, the second part, or the second episode for my Explore More lore, this could be me not being as up to date with some of the books and comics as I could be. I'm a little behind to it. The idea of killing without a weapon will make her master proud and happy. I don't remember that, but is that a thing for the Sith? Like, is there a thing we're supposed to do? Because what is that? Why do you have to kill without a weapon? It almost seems like she has to take weapon, because she tries to take Dara's weapon, I believe, and then she tries to take that lightsaber but misses or whatever. So to kill without a weapon Why is that so important in a way? Is that just proving yourself? Are you that you're that damn good that you can kill without a weapon? Is that all it is, or is there more to it?
So I'm just referring to my notes here because I know that it's not one of the Sith trials, because if you go to Darth Maul Shadowhunter, that's his trial. He's killing the Jedi, but he does it with his lightsaber. I think there's the trial of skill, the trial of spirit, the trial of the flesh, and the trial of courage. None of them involve killing a Jedi without using a weapon. Can I offer up another theory what it might be?
Go ahead. Absolutely.
I mentioned it before of like, it's almost like May was begging Endara to take out her weapon and be seen using her weapon to strike her down. I have a feeling it's the Sith. I feel like it's Zipper Face's way of saying, let's let the general public see the Jedi attacking you. And you have to defend yourself against the weapon of the Jedi. Turn that symbol of the Jedi, of their lightsaber, which is a weapon that they only use as a last resort.
Right.
They have fallen so far.
Right.
That symbol has now become a weapon.
That's a possibility. Yeah, that's a good possibility. Interesting to say. I'll have to find out. I hope we do find out. I hope it's like not just kind of a throwaway thing. Which, yeah, I guess it could be, but
because the Jedi are so concerned with optics at this point, right? You have Venestra talking about, we need to keep this under hush hush because if our political enemies hear anything about this, they may pounce on us.
Right. Absolutely. That's a good call. That's a very good call. Oh, it might just be. All right, let's get into our next segment. Seen a lot of action.
Hear a lot of carbon scoring here. Looks like you boys have seen a lot of action.
Action sequences in this. This is our best. I mean, I think honestly, these are pretty easy for me this week. I'm going to go and let you know the two right away. I'm going to do it again, just both episodes. It's the May versus Sindar in the first episode, May versus Soul in the second episode. It's very well choreographed, and not just choreographing fights, but choreographing emotions, choreographing the idea that like it's Indara trying to be defensive and be passive. Soul not trying to do anything but just kind of parrying, trying to convince May to stand down, while May tends to be not even. It's almost like she's testing them. She wants to kill them. Obviously, they're the 4 Jedi on her list, but at the same time, she still feels like it's about poking and prodding and finding out who this person is through fight. There's some great fighters anyway, have always said that you can never know somebody truly until you fight them. I've heard that before. And in some ways, it's kind
I've said that.
So that's true.
Yeah, I've said that multiple times. Yeah.
I've heard that from somebody else too. I've heard that from more than one person, but I had never fought really like that, so I don't know. I guess I don't know anybody, but that's true.
Yeah, you don't really know someone until you punch them, and then you punch them in the face and follow them.
That's what it feels like, though. That's this whole both fights kind of feel like. He's like poking and prodding and everything else, but they're so well done. They remind me of the prequel fights. It's a very well choreographed thing, something we haven't gotten for a while, and that's not a complaint, by the way. I know some people used to complain in the sequel trilogies about how the fights were so well. Rey is not a trained fighter. Right? I mean, like there was not a lot of trained fighting going on. But this was very well choreographed fight sequences that I was enraptured for in both sequences. Just the right length, just the right time, just the right power, just the right emotion. Chef, because I'm both. So can't wait for more.
Yep, I'm in agreement with you. Like May versus, and I will say, I loved her trying to get at Torben the first time, and he was just floating there with his eyes closed. Shout out to that man. Like he hasn't talked in 10 years.
10 years
because he took the which, dude, speaking of lore, how cool is it hearing about the Barash Vow getting
Leslie did a very good job of like sprinkling in these little things from the High Republic, from the prequels, even some of the original trilogy stuff. He brought just a night or what's like, oh, cool.
Charles Soule was stoked. I saw a thing he posted on his Instagram of like, he was like, this is my favorite part of the Acolyte, and it's because
he created it. He rated it. He was the first one to let that in his Darth Vader run. I love the fact that it was mentioned. Because to me, that's what it should be. Like Kathleen Kennedy has always originally stated that she was going to have the books, the media, the comics. I'm sorry, my cat is having a great time over there. That's what you're hearing in the background. But you're supposed to tie everything together. Now that hasn't honestly been the case. That's if there's any criticism. I try to not to criticize Kathleen Kennedy because she gets well over criticized. The one of the criticism I do have is that it hasn't really turned out to be true. It's been kind of like the important things happen on the screen, and the comics and books are kind of like their own. It's like it's just like it used to be, in terms of books and comics are almost. I hate saying it this way because it sounds like I'm just trying to. They're almost like second level, because not everybody reads them, and it's unfortunate because there's some great stuff going on in there. High Republic's probably the most, because it's so disconnected from everything else. It's its own thing. That High Republic is probably the best of them. But we haven't seen a lot of crossover in that way, shape, or form. So I love the fact that Leslie did drop those in there. I think that's a great connectivity. I think we could use more of that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I thought that was that was fan service done right.
Absolutely, because I didn't have to. And the thing is, too, it kind of mystery. What's cool about it is you drop Barash Val, the High Republic fans like, yeah, and the people who don't know it go, oh, that's interesting. It's not like you're like, I'm lost, I don't get it, but you're like, you can kind of implicate. Okay, so a vow, you know what a vow is. You see what this guy's doing, and they kind of you can imply that, like, okay, so he had a boo boo. He made a boo boo, and he's trying to like have retribution or justify or whatever. He's trying to fix himself. Atone. Thank you. That's the right word I was looking for. I'm not good with words anymore. But yeah, no, that's exactly my point. Though I think that people you can imply that, so you're not losing fans by doing that. You're just rewarding the fans who do know it. Perfectly well done. So, all right, is that it for the action sequences for you?
Oh, fuck yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. That was. I will say that the little moment where, and this is another little moment that kind of leads on to our force theory, is the little moment in the alley outside the apothecary when May has the knife to his throat, and then he slowly starts to turn it away from him and towards her. Have a little thing to just
keep your mind on. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. All right, let's get to our next segment then. Laugh it up, Fuzzball.
Laugh it up, Fuzzball.
Our favorite comic moments of the week, and I'm happy to say that there were some nice comedy moments sprinkled in, not overdone, but sometimes in Star Wars recently, you had like some tough time finding some comic moments. We had a good mix this one. My first episode, it was a line of dialogue. It was from Jackie. It was Yord. Put your clothes on.
Can we just use Yord as the comedy moment throughout?
Maybe that's the thing to do at this point. Absolutely.
Because there was the moment when when Osha opens the door and he's sitting there on the bed and he's like kind of chilled out, but then suddenly he like snaps too, and he's like dramatically like throws his cloak behind him,
right
to be like, oh, look at me with my white cloak of the Jedi, of the Knight of the Jedi Order. It's just like he's very much like Obi-Wan episode 1.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's like I'll agree with you. I'll also expand on this point of when they're walking towards the ship, because Vanessa said that Sol can take a small team, and she says, "Is it Yord?" And Sol just turns around and says, "What's wrong with Yord?"
So Yord. He's just so Yord. He's just so Yord. Apologize to the Yord horde out there.
He is Dwight Schrute.
He really is. He really is. You know what? I'll take this moment to talk about Yord. I was going to save it for a little later, but we're already talking about it. I will say, I mean, all jokes aside, I actually was not the hugest fan of Yord. I'm hoping it's better throughout. His performance kind of, I don't know if it's the actor's fault or the character. I don't know what. I don't want to blame anybody specifically for it, but he sometimes kind of took me out as like he sometimes felt like almost like a Disney like Galaxy's Edge kind of thing. Like almost like he didn't feel like he was a part of the show. He kind of felt like he was playing this part. Like he wasn't really. He almost felt like he didn't live in that world. Like he almost felt like he was occupying the space. Sometimes, not all the time. There's times he kind of felt immersive. Like there's a term in wrestling. I go back to wrestling last show, and I don't. Maybe you know or maybe you don't. There is heel with heat, and then there's go away heat. When you're a heel, when you're a bad guy, not that you're the bad guy, obviously he's supposed to be, he's a good guy, but you're supposed to not like a lot of things he's doing or whatever. But you have that heel energy where you want to see him punched in the face, you want to see him beaten down, or you want to see him, taken to the woods kind of thing. You want to see that kind of thing. And then there's go away heat, where sometimes it's like you're not actually getting booed, you're getting booed because they just don't want to see you. Like that's the difference. Like actually, I got somebody comes out, you're like they don't want to see anybody beat you up. They just want to see you get the fuck out. They don't care about you. Like he kind of straddled that line for me a few times.
Like, wasn't there a guy in wrestling that had like the guitar that would come out?
Honky Tonk Man?
No. This is more
Jeff
recent.
Jarrett?
No, he had like an acoustic guitar and he would come out and he would sing and he would be like, walk.
Yeah, Elias, I think it was. Elias.
That's the guy. He seemed like a guy that people would just be like, we're not paying to see you. Go away.
X-Pac is the guy from back in the day. Actually, it originated.
Okay, so X-Pac heat. That kind of heat.
Okay,
got
and
it.
I kind of felt that way a little bit for me at times. I'm not like totally checked out on him, but he was probably one of my least favorite parts of the show. And I'm sorry, Yord Horde. I saw you. I see you out there. I love you guys, and I'm happy it's working for the Yord Horde. He just didn't feel genuinely a part of the show comparatively. He kind of felt like he was just there. And I said, not all the time. I can't like give you specifics. It's more of like it's just more of the feel about the character.
No, I think I know exactly what you're getting at, and this is the reason why I compare him to Dwight Schrute. Is because go back to like season 1, season 2 of The Office. Dwight is annoying as shit. Dwight is like, he is the bumbling office idiot that like is trying too hard to be by the book and everything, but slowly you see him start to come around. You see him like start to show more of himself. You see him start to become like more friendly with Jim and Pam and everything. And it's funny you bring this up because I know exactly what you mean, because I felt the exact same thing until I talked to Alden Diaz this morning.
Oh, nice. Okay, maybe I talked to Alden then. Maybe
and he's like, he's the perfect person for this because he's very by the book.
Right.
When shit hits the fan, he's going to be the one that goes through the massive amount of character and emotional growth that is the one that is going to show up.
That's a good point.
God fucking damn, you're right.
That's a good point where he actually sees something he's been to by the book and he knows he's got to get outside the box, so to speak. It could be a great development for him. Maybe that's the way it goes. I hope it does. I will say what I did like, and I thought was a smart move by Leslie Headland, was that when Osha is caught with Torben's body and everybody's jumping on him, like, it was Yord who had followed her, which was a character for him to follow her. And right away, Yord's like, nope, this isn't the case. Because in the usual case for that type of character in a show, he would have been the one to jump out. See, I was right. See, this is that and everything else. But he, by the book, he saw her leave. He followed her, and he was quickly the one to exonerate and said, nope, she hadn't left my sight, and that's so she couldn't have done it. I liked that because it gave me something to hook onto a little bit.
You know who he is? He's not Dwight Schrute. He's Murtaugh. He's Murtaugh. And Sol is Riggs.
Okay. Maybe that's what it is, huh? Yeah, no. So I mean, I hate saying that entirely. Like, he's not something that I want to like. Yeah, he's not killing the show for me yet or anything. And there's points where I did like him a little bit, but he was one that kept me from embracing everything completely.
I mean, there was the little. I guess it was kind of as a comedic moment where he's talking about like he's going to go in with the weapon and stun him and everything, and then you have the little Padawan who just says, "Why don't we just send her in because she looks exactly like the culprit?" Yep. I was like, okay, that kind of like took me out for a second, but then I was like, okay, that was actually pretty funny. Because then again, it's like truly wonderful the mind of a child is.
Right, absolutely. Okay, let's get back to our this segment, because then we can go into the rest of the stuff with mission briefing, which is our second to find, not our next segment. So, what's your laugh it up from this episode, the first episode?
Laugh out for the first episode. Okay, it wasn't even really a comedy moment, but it did make me laugh. Was Vanestra talking about how they have political enemies? Like I kind of had like a nervous laugh at that because I was like, oh shit, Vanestra, who hurt you? Like,
right.
And it was like a more of a tragic comedy moment because it's like we really are getting to that point where the Jedi are starting to take that forward. I was just kind of like a laughter of like, God, you guys, you never learn. Like you show up like cops, like they look like Yord has his hand on his saber, like he flicks it back like he's about to like pull out his gun, like he's a beat cop, because that's essentially what Jedi are at the minute, is beat cops.
So it seems like, yeah.
And he doesn't say on behalf of the Jedi Order. He goes, on behalf of the Republic, you are under arrest.
Right. Well, I think with Osha, he actually said both.
But he started with the Republic.
He did start with the Republic, though. You're correct. You are correct there.
So it was just kind of like a nervous laughter and like a nervous, like, oh shit.
Right. That's
we're in trouble.
Right. Interesting. That's true. Okay. Next episode then for me, the one for episode 2. This is one you'd probably appreciate. I believe when it was right at the beginning where Osha's talking to Jackie and she helps her fix the ship or whatever. Something about being flexible, and then Pip keeps up and like, oh, Pip is flexible too.
Yeah.
Pip wanted to know he's flexible too. Yeah, good solid droid moment there. Speak up to himself. I chuckled at that. I did like that. Pip in general, maybe chuckle. I like it. So. And you know, for Kyle Katarn out there, he did get the box droid, so it was good to see for him. So
okay, good.
So what about you? What's your second your moment of the moment?
Mine was seeing the little droid portcullis like pop out the door. I was like, oh, because I love those. Yeah, and I was like, oh, they've still got them back then. Cool. Yep. And it was also kind of, it made me think like, oh, this is just a base that the Jedi have kind of taken over. It's not like a Jedi outpost or anything. It's maybe just it was almost kind of like you get the local police station. Like you've got the big like city police stations, and then you got like the smaller ones that like you go in and see like your local beat cop. It kind of reminded me of one of those, and like you had like the beat cop that collared the kid that was like walking the kid out by the scruff of the neck, kind of a deal. So I thought the door droid. I always forget their names, but I love them because I love droids. It just pops out, and he was like looking around, and he couldn't see the kid because like his head couldn't go down.
That's fair. Speaking of that, you know what? We'll get into our next segment actually, because I'll just bring it up in the next segment. Our next segment, we call this one "The Path." The Path.
I trained her. Let me be the one to bring her in.
This is just our briefing, so to speak, where we basically we wrap up everything else with the notes and everything we have before we get into rating it and giving our fourth vision, of course, for the future. I have a lot of notes we can touch base on. I will say one other criticism I had for this episode. This one's definitely a nitpicky one. We can go back and forth. I have a bunch of notes we can talk about. Nitpicky, the background Jedi always have bothered me a little bit. They actually bothered me a little bit in Attack of the Clones too. You could tell that they're just like kind of extra-y sometimes, and they feel like they just put robes on. And I kind of want to see, I don't know what else they could do, but like the Jedi, you were talking about, when he's had the one that by the scruff, had her by the scruff or whatever. Don't stop bringing this up. He felt like just like not that really feel like he just didn't feel like a Jedi. He just felt like, oh, that's the son that got a 2-second cameo or something, that kind of thing, with a line of dialogue in there. Didn't feel like a Jedi to me. I don't know what feels like a Jedi versus what doesn't. It's hard to say. But some of those type of characters like that sometimes take me out. I was like, oh wait, is this what is I don't understand what's going on. This is not somebody real. We don't really care about this person. It just takes me out of the immersion of the story for me. And that's sometimes a problem with some of the Jedi. I think John Hobie kind of said it during a tweet. He said like sometimes the Jedi just have this like boring stoicness to them Like it's the main character, and then everyone else is like this stoic nothingness, and like I feel
Like they
you
got
can
a stick
find-
up their ass the entire time.
Yes, and you could find different ways to make yourself apparent, and I want to see more depth of the Jedi than what we've seen to a degree. Again, that one's more of a nitpick; it's more of a background thing, but it's just something I wanted to throw out there for you.
No, I completely agree. It's also my. I want to point out that the word faith gets used a lot in this show. And I feel like they're trying to diverge from between faith and religion, and they're trying to show that faith is more powerful. That the faith is more powerful than the religion. The ideals and the I guess the kind of doctrine, the ideals and the teachings. There we go. The ideals and the teachings are stronger than the actual institution itself. So when you see guys like that, the Jedi, I guess, caretakers, I don't know,
Right?
that's what they look like to me. They're just there to look after the base and keep Torben from speaking about whatever the hell happened. I get what you're saying. It does pull you out to some respect, because you're like, well, what good are these people? Why are they what do they serve for the story? And I guess I might be, who knows, I might be writing the story for myself. I might be writing the story for Leslie Headland. She may not have this stuff in mind, but
Right.
To me, it's like they are the example of what's wrong.
Yeah.
They're the example of what is going wrong. And it's just like a little drop of like, each time we see one of these Jedi, we're like, oh, they really are like, it's not just at the top. It's like the top all the way down.
Absolutely.
This institution is starting to fail.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I think it's important to show that at this point, though. It's important to show that because
You can tell I thought about this a lot, huh?
I can, and I'm here for it, though, man. I'm here for it. So, okay. One last thing about Yord. I want to get my Yord stuff out of the way. I remember I saw some of the Yord things I didn't like. Yord and his authority, and like that's what kind of took me. It's supposed to be.
I love it.
Yes,
I love
but
it.
Yord and his authority was so like, oh my god, dude! Like he actually like was intimidating to the point of like almost dark side. Like he's like, I'm gonna mess your mind up. I'm gonna totally mess your mind up. It's like, I'm like, holy shit, dude! Like, what the was he threatening? Was he actually gonna do it? I don't know, but I feel like he might have, because he's that much. Exactly, he's that dude. He lives in absolutes, which is not the way you should be as a Jedi. He's everything that is wrong with the Jedi at that point, to be honest with you, even though he is trying to do the right thing. So it's kind of like I'm hoping I can glom onto that, and maybe the performance will leak into that a little bit more. And so by the time we get to episode 6 or 7, I'll actually like him a lot more. I'm hoping so. But actually, honestly, I liked his apprentice more than I liked him. And his apprentice only had like one scene. The Zygerian. But seeing a Zygerian live action was pretty cool. By the way, that was cool. But I got so much more out of her than I did him, even though she was like she was cut from the same cloth, obviously, as his apprentice. She was definitely very much by the books. She mentioned they didn't want to teach you because you were too old, but they did, which is interesting to say that Anakin wasn't the first kind of thing. That was like an interesting beat. And I like that idea that they have tried it before.
Maybe the reason why.
Right. Is there a reason why? Exactly. But I loved her arrogance a little bit better. It was a little bit of a softer arrogance that felt more genuine to me.
She was a snotty little kid.
Right. Exactly. Who just knows she's smart, knows she's the top of the class, but didn't come across as like go away heat in a way. It was kind of like it's just a little bit of difference. I like the apprentice. I hope we see more of her for sure. But let's see.
You got a whole list of stuff you don't like about Yord.
I'm gonna be done with Yord. I'm done. That's it. That's the last thing I want to say about Yord. I'm done with Yord.
So, as a man who works with law enforcement, the guy with the authority is the one that you have the problem with.
Maybe it's too close to home. Is that what you're saying? I don't know. Maybe no. The people I work with are great. Actually, the people I work with are great. So I can't say that for sure. But it is kind of that weird way. I think it's the arrogance of some of the younger guys, though. Sometimes that's what it is. It's the arrogance, because he's not old enough to be authoritative in a way. If he's like not good enough, he's been a Jedi for 2 years. He's acting like he's like fucking Yoda at this point. Like he's the one that's he's in charge. Like that's the arrogance that's going to lead to their downfall. So he's an important character to have, I get. And it's again, I should say it's not the actual character I hate. It's not the actor I hate either. It's just that the performance of that action, I don't even know.
You know
Something
who he,
about
you
it
know
was
who he
off.
is, right?
Who?
He's Rampart. At the start of the show, at the start of Bad Batch, we were like, Rampart is a fucking snake piece of shit.
You're not wrong.
And then by the end of the show, we were like, he's actually a pretty good character.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
He's gonna have the same character development, and we're just gonna be like, that's so Yord. That's so Yord.
I
And
hope
then it's gonna come. What if something happens to Yord? We're gonna be devastated.
I hope that by episode 4 or 5, by 5 or something like that. I hope by episode 5, I am in the Yord horde with everybody. I really do. That's not there yet. Not there yet.
Can I just say, I was shocked they took out Indara like as quick as they did.
Oh, they screamed her. They basically did Drew Barrymore and Scream. That's what it was. You have this is our lead actress. They played it as, they kill her on the first scene. You're like, wait, what? I had a sneaky suspicion about that.
You did? Okay.
I had a sneaky suspicion. I was like, I think that she's going to die early. I didn't know why, but I kind of had this suspicion. And this wasn't a spoiler for it or anything. But I was like, I think this is going to I was scared it's going to happen. So I'd like to see more Carrie-Anne Moss. I do think we get more of her. I think we're going to get some flashbacks.
We're getting some flashbacks, yeah. She was stabbed through the heart and you're to blame. You give the Jedi a bad name.
Give the Jedi a bad name. You know what? I want to talk about that for a second, by the way. We're away from our rants. I'm going to try into the rants.
We're going to talk about Bon Jovi?
Exactly. We'll talk about Bon Jovi. The fact she gets killed with this little blade, as obviously some people bring up the people going, well, so a lightsaber to the gut doesn't do it, but a little knife does it. Man, if only they had knives. And I'm like, so you're gonna complain about, all right, so you have a problem with the lightsaber to the gut not killing somebody or whatever, which I get. I too thought they were starting to use that a little bit too much for me. I did. I was like, I would prefer them not to do that too much. But you're gonna complain when they correct it?
Here's the thing. Sabine was stabbed in the side.
I know.
Indara was stabbed directly in the fucking heart.
I know. I agree. I totally agree with you. I'm all into that. But even so, like, you're complaining about it. It's like,
even so,
they're correcting it. They're telling you that this could happen. So I don't know. Let's move on quickly. But yeah. All right. We already talked about Char Droids a lot. I did. The tattoo moment was great. I love this moment where they had.
Yeah, I love that.
When Soul talked to Osha about that, and because it was such a great character development moment for both of them, especially for Soul too, because he's like, because she goes back, oh, you hate it, and he's just like, it doesn't matter what I hate. Yeah, I like it. Everything. I loved that moment with him. It was great. It was a quick line, but it added to so much more of that depth that to me, I think that's why we like Soul so much. He had a lot of those kind of quick moments. But speaking of moments, he got passionate when he needed to. When he had the argument with Osha, or it was like, "You want revenge?" When he yells that line, when he got really passionate about it, like, "You want justice? You want revenge?" And he's scared. He's just trying to be a leader, a mentor, a father figure, and a Jedi at the same time. And it was just so well delivered by a guy who can't speak English. Like, I don't know what more you could ask for him, to be honest with you.
Oh, it shows, man. The language isn't about. There's no such thing as a language barrier after all.
Absolutely. Okay.
I've got one more, if I may.
Absolutely. I said I was gonna have one more and give it to you. Go ahead.
There is. This is so Kurosawa in that. Have you seen Rashomon?
I saw it a long time ago, so I don't have a very good memory of it.
So obviously, Rashomon is told from multiple different perspectives. It's a murder mystery of like a samurai is killed and
I remember that.
A wife is killed, and it's told from 4 different perspectives. I don't think we're going to go that far, but it's very much a story of like, what is truth? Like, what is it our perception or is it reality? because I always find there's 4 sides to every story. There's their side, the truth, and what's reality. Because the truth is what we decide. The truth is what we decide is the reality of the situation. It's not the actual reality of the situation. It's what makes the most sense to us, that what we can perceive and we can prove to be true. But that's not necessarily the reality of the situation. It's also about what really is justice, and how do you define that justice, and who has the right to decide on what that justice is. It is so Rashomon. At its core, it's so Kurosawa that I'm just like, yep.
I love it. I got to ask you a question. What you thought about something now? It just sparked out. Like, not my list, but I saw some complaints about. I shouldn't say complaints. It was criticism. It wasn't that big of a deal. That a way that Leslie Headland ended the episode was so abrupt and so quick. Did that bother you at all? Because it didn't bother me like it bothered some people. I'm not sure why it was so bothersome to some people.
It bothered me that it ended full stop. I don't care how it ends. I care that it ends. Keep it going.
The fact that it ends. Yeah, I want to see the next episode. Yeah, I get that. Like the abrupt stop, I didn't mind it. I thought it was fine to do it that way.
Stopping on the line of the acolyte kills the dream, it annoyed the shit out of me. But then I was like, stopping on that line, was perfect.
Yeah. I thought it was well. I liked the abrupt endings. I'm not gonna lie. So all right, that's fair.
Worked in Andor.
Yeah, I think so too. I thought it worked well. All right. Last note I want to talk about real quick is the ending of episode 2, introduction of Chelnaka. Oh, what a great introduction that was. That actually almost was my action moment of the week of that episode.
I wanted to put it up as my comedy moment.
A comedy moment too, exactly. When we see a Wookiee use the Force.
Get out my swamp.
It is basically Shrek in space. We are at Shrek.
Get out my swamp.
Get out of my swamp. Anyway, it's a Wookiee. I thought that was a great introduction to the character, and I can't wait to see him next week. Obviously, that's where we're going next. Bits and pieces here. But
breaks my heart about Chelnaka being involved is that he's a Wookiee. Like, they are so in touch and like connected to nature that having to burn that place is really going to have fucked with him.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Absolutely good point. Shout out to Jonas, of course, the professional Wookiee. I love the fact he didn't look like Chewbacca at all, and I did not see Chewbacca in it at all. So I was actually very happy about that, because I was kind of curious if that was going to happen, because it is obviously, I know you're putting a lot of big furry stuff on, but it is still the same actor underneath. So I kind of was wondering if you're going to see much, but I didn't see it. I just saw Chelnaka, so I was very excited about it.
It gives Jonas the chance to tell a story from someone that he gets to grow that character out of. He's not stepping into the furry shoes of Chewbacca. Like, this is a character that he gets to develop himself,
right?
Which I think is really cool.
I do. I actually like that as well. All right, let's get into our. Do we have anything else to add? Are we good?
Good. We can.
All right. Let's go into our last 2 segments. We got first off parsecs.
It's a ship that made the Kessel run in less than 12 parsecs.
Less than 12 is 11. Everything's up to 11 here on PLD Projects. On a scale of 1 to 11, rate these 2 episodes. I'll let you go first, and you can do both.
I'm going to give 1 a 7.
Okay.
And I'm going to give 2 a 7.5.
Oh,
because in the past, I have always started with like really high numbers, and they've kind of stood at like 9s, 10s, 9s, 10s, 9s, 10s. This time around, I'm going to allow the story to grow and like improve or like not be as good. So I'm going to start, because it was very good. I'm not going to say it was perfect. I'm not going to say it was amazing. It was really great. And to me, a 7.5 to it, and I'll give episode 2 an 8. So 7.5 to 8.
Okay. All right.
I think it's good.
That's very good. All right. For me, I started my first episode. I gave it a 6.5.
Okay.
Again, that might be a little, at the grand scheme of things, I might end up being a bit harsh, especially by the end. If I feel, I mean, I'm saying retroactively, it might feel a little harsh after I get into it, because I know part of it might be that idea that's introductory part, as far as me having to work my way into this part of the world, part of the galaxy, this time in the galaxy, or whatever. So that might be on me more than it is on the episode. But that is what it is. 6.5. I still engage with it. I'm happy with it. Yeah, and I'll be honest. What happened then is episode 2. I gave that one an 8.5 because by the end I really did feel fully involved with it. I felt really intense with it, and I loved Soul so much. Soul Squad gave me a 0.5. I gave it extra 0.5 for Soul Squad alone. So hashtag Soul Squad doing your work. And for Kamir as well. Kamir added that second notch of love there. So him being in episode 2, or was he in episode 1? Maybe we'll going to touch base on that with our next segment. This segment was called Force Vision.
Premonitions.
This is where we predict the future. Whether it be in other comics or in this show or anything else, usually we keep it to the show is what's going to happen in the future of the show. All right, I think Kamir is Zipperface.
I think so. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I agree. That's what I think the whole time. Kamir is the baddie. You mentioned with the anime thing, and I think she's pulling from that as well. It made a lot of sense to me the entire time. I even went back the second time and watched the second time and tried to hear his cadence in the line, the altered voice line about killing the dream or whatever. Killing a dream, and it can match. I'm not saying it does match. I can't say that, but I can hear a little bit of it in there potentially. But it made all the sense in the world that we see the villain right off the way. Because what do the Sith do? They like to do the whole thing. They like to be hidden, Phantom Menace in the shadows, but like right there with you. And that it was that line of dialogue that sold me on it. That you look just like her.
Hey, fuck! I thought you were gonna go with a different line.
Oh, okay. Okay, well, you can do that in a minute.
No. Please continue your points. I don't want to interrupt you.
When he did you just looked just like her. I was like, okay, you were there on Brendok. You are the Sith who was there on Brendok, and you want to replace May with Osha maybe or something. I don't know, something going on there that I can't wait to find out. But I have 2 Force visions. That's how big this one was. But I'll start with that one. I think Kamir is definitely more than meets the eye to go with the Transformers. That's why the cherub thing was in there in the first place. It was a nice little metaphor of there's more than meets the eye happening here. I'm joking about that, obviously, but it feels good. Go ahead. You go. I'm gonna let you take the ground with that.
I'm gonna piggyback. It's the same. I think Kamir is Zipperface. There's a line that I've listened to a few reviews today. There's a line he says that not a lot of people have picked up on, and I am shocked.
Mm-hmm.
What does he say when he gives her the poison? Give him what he wants. His absolution. Absolute.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point. Very good point.
And he was the one to initiate talking about the Sith code.
Mm-hmm.
So if he's not Zipperface, he's another acolyte.
Right. And May knows it too. I mean, May doesn't know that he is Zipperface, I think. If he is Zipperface, May does not know.
No.
Because May treats him like whatever. But
he didn't even know that Osha was still alive.
Exactly. May even said at one point, May's like, he said, "Oh, kill without a weapon, you'll make him so happy." Like it was just like he's like landing on these lines like that. And he just May thought that was the weird part, not the weird part for me, but that threw me for a loop. I figured May would have known that Osha was brought out of there, but she didn't.
Yep.
He did.
Yep.
He knew. He was there. He knew.
Yep.
You look just like her.
Son of a bitch. I think it's him.
I think
it's him.
And I'd be happy with it if it is, because I think that's a cool thing to do. Now I want to go further with that. Part 2 of it's actually sort of related, but Kamir was there because Kamir brought up something else that was interesting to me. And I think it has to do with Leslie's love for the EU. And it has to do with a lot of different sides of things. But we had the beginning where Yord almost did the mind thing to the Nemoidians. By the way, that was one of the things I didn't bring up, by the way, in my mission or my path thing. I love seeing the aliens, the different Star Wars aliens.
Oh, yeah, dude.
Love seeing the Star Wars aliens. That was missing from, I think a lot of times creators have for whatever reason, within the Star Wars universe, these newer creators, they want, and I understand the motivation. They want to create their own space in the world. I want to create a Star Wars alien that can become like a George Lucas alien that's known as, I want to make my star. And instead of using what we have millions of species already. Be like, use the ones that are familiar to us, because that helps ground you in the Star Wars universe. Likewise, by the way, I also want to say, I got to get this out of the way too. I really did love the score. I felt the score was brilliant at moments. It was not quite as catchy as some of the things, but it was very prequel-esque, and it was very Williams-esque without a little bit of the hook. It needs a little bit of the hook. But what pisses me off about Star Wars in general is, why the fuck don't we use more of the Star Wars cues? Like, there are Star Wars main theme. This is Star Wars. It should have the main theme in it. Every Star Wars should have the main theme in it. That's not the Skywalker theme. That's the Star Wars main theme. Likewise, the Force theme. They're using the Force. We should be getting the Force theme. Kevin Kiner and the Kiners have done it best. During all the animated things, they have their own. They've created some beautiful music. Ahsoka's theme, like Omega's theme. They've done their own work and it's some great stuff. But they always know when to bring in those old Williams-esque quotes, as well as motifs from Williams, because they add that Star Wars special sauce to it.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you're not going to use the Skywalker theme in the Acolyte. Obviously, you're not going to use Vader's theme in the Acolyte. It's not the same thing. But there are cues you can use and you should use. And that's not just an Acolyte thing, by the way. That's an Andor thing. That's an Acolyte thing. That's almost all the show's thing. You have the GOAT. You have the music that's probably the greatest. Those 6 films, initial 6, hell, the 9 films, because Williams did all of them, are some of the greatest film scores mankind has ever known. Use them. Create your own music? Absolutely. But you have time to use them as well. Just pisses me off. It's a thing that I wish we could see more of.
You didn't hear the music from Camino?
I did. Okay. There was a few subtle moments that were used. I just think
that's what we need. That's what we need. We're only at the start. And I'm going to counter, because I respectfully hung your boss man out to dry on this very same thing on his review.
Okay, fair.
I think that we should allow the space for these composers to establish themselves, like the Kiners did at first. With Rebels, they didn't start using the motifs straight away. Not all of them. Not like they do now. But we need to let these composers, and I'm speaking solely as a musician here, of like, you need to let these composers establish themselves in their own personal style before you start bringing in the motifs. And you know me, Paul, I love a motif. I love a callback.
Okay.
As much as you, as much as everyone. You need to let them establish their style first before you can start pulling in from other ones. Because otherwise you just sound like a tribute act. If you jump in right from the bat using the Force theme, you just sound like a tribute act and you're pandering.
I disagree to a point. I see what you're saying. And I'm not saying I don't want to see them use their own music. I do. I don't want to see them stagnate and just.
Oh, yeah, I know you're saying that.
Absolutely. But I think there's some things you can do to establish it as like the Star Wars theme. The original Star Wars theme should be also in the front of almost every episode because that's what it is. Star Wars, Galaxy Far, Far Away. Bomb. Here we are. That's the Star Wars theme. And the Force theme too. I think you can use it. There's times in that episode you could use it without sounding like a tribute band, because you could have the rest of the episode. Because there's plenty of other times in the episode where they could have used anything else they wanted and done their way. But for the moments that it fits, I don't think you have to wait. I don't think you have to wait to use the ones that fit. Make it feel like, I think right there, if anybody has any problems with Star Warsiness, that helps solve it. That all of a sudden it feels more like Star Wars, because it's like watching A New Hope without score. It doesn't even feel Star Warsian anymore.
But then does it become too reliant on tropes of previous shows and previous movies if you keep using it?
I mean,
we
could overdo
it. We
don't
think so, but you can argue that point of like, if you're using everything,
you could overdo
the music. Yeah,
you could overdo it. I get that, but I feel like the answer is not to underdo it as much as they did. I think there's a healthier balance to use.
You do it like the kind of did with the Bad Batch theme. You just sprinkle it in a little bit.
Absolutely, just enough. Just enough. Get it, but get us that a little bit. Give us the Force theme a little bit. Give us something like that.
I must say, I would have been a bit if they use it in that moment when she's trying to call Pip to her. Because it's not like a big, grand, victorious moment. Like, I want to hear the Force theme, like, really punch in and feel it in my fucking balls, man. That's when I want to hear it. But, like, let the musician, like, let the composers establish themselves.
What they could have done. What they could have done there. They could have done that as what Williams did at one point. Williams did the Across the Stars theme during the first kiss, and then also it broke off almost comically when they stopped kissing. It could have been one of those ones where they had, like, where you feel like you're a little bit of the Force theme when she's trying, and then when she can't do it, it kind of just fades out, falls out. Then we could have used the Force theme when Soul stops her from falling off the cliff, and it's like, boom. That could have been the moment where we get the Force theme, like, full on.
Yeah.
Little rant of mine. It's my own personal pet peeve. We don't know anything.
I know, and I get where you're coming from, but at the same time, we gotta remember, as much as we want John to live forever, he ain't gonna be around forever.
His themes will.
They will, but we can't, like, keep going.
You can rearrange them. You can remix them in a way. You can motif them in a way that it's still similar sounding. It reminds you, because, like, when you like Star Wars has been a thing of motifs the entire time, and when you have a main theme for Star Wars, that's a main theme for Star Wars, not trilogy for everything. And the same thing with the Force. You can use it, and I don't think it's overdoing it. I'm not saying you have to quote everything. You have to have, like, the Millennium Falcon through the asteroid field every time there's a space flight or something like that. But, like, there's certain things you can use, and I think that's the way you got to do it. You have to establish your own things. I think Soul should get his own theme and get it. I think they should all have their own theme and then
Soul gets his own theme.
Absolutely, but that's what I'm saying. It should be so like that. But you don't cut it off completely. I don't think it's the way to go. So that's my own rant.
We did get somewhat of a crawl.
Yeah, we did. I'm good with that. I was good.
I wish they wouldn't use what looks like they just typed it in MS WordPad. They use, like, MS Comic Sans or something. But anyway, now we're just nitpicking. And
I did like the blue. I did like, at least the color was right. But
yeah, that was cool.
All right. Anyway, I was going back to my other Force vision. I got to touch base on, because I kind of went on a completely different tangent because of the aliens. But start off with the aliens and the Nemoidians. We had York come in, threatened to basically F with his mind and, like, mind whatever him, like almost like Kylo did in the sequels, right? So that was part of it. The Jedi bust into Kamir's place of business or whatever, or where he was hanging out. And what is like one of the things he says to the Jedi? Please don't mind wipe me or whatever.
Yeah, don't wipe my mind or whatever you do.
I think Osha got mind wiped. On Brendok. I think she started the fire.
She remembers the fire, though.
But does she remember why it started? Who started? Maybe I've been watching too much. I watched the Men in Black series, so maybe
I think you have, yeah.
But what would it be that caused Torben or whatever his name was? And what did they do that was so wrong?
Well, again, this is going back to my thing, right?
Did OSHA strike first, and then maybe OSHA started the fire, and then her family they thought was dead, and May wasn't dead, but maybe OSHA's the one who started the fire, and they decided to be kind as Jedi, wipe her mind of what happened, or cloud her mind to what happened, and bring her on. Was she going dark side, and they tried to save her soul? Is that what Soul is hiding?
They tried to save her soul?
Try to save her soul. Exactly. But you know what I mean? Like, either way, I think that might be in there for a reason. And specifically Kamir saying that because Kamir knows what happened.
Yeah, because he's Zipperface.
Maybe Zipperface was trying to recruit OSHA.
Yeah.
You look just like her. And found May, not as dead as they thought. And maybe OSHA was a little darker than they thought too. And
it does lend to my theory about her being the dark one and Soul pulled her away.
And you know what it is? Kind of Revenish.
Are you saying he's Revan?
I think OSHA can be Revan, getting her mind wiped.
Revan was way long before this.
I know, but it's obviously not Revan.
Oh, you're saying like okay, sorry.
Maybe
like
this is their
Revan.
like
Okay.
Revan thing. Because we might never get actual Revan. I mean, Dave Filoni is not a big fan of like a lot of the United States or public stuff from what I've gathered.
Maybe Revan's who they kill off in episode 3.
This is their version of Revan. Kind of thing.
Okay.
This is their cherry picking of the storylines kind of thing. They take this kind of storyline and maybe that's what we're going with.
Okay.
Just a thought. Again, this is
speculating
a little irresponsibly, maybe just a little bit, but responsibly enough. I think there's ideas in there. It'd be interesting to see for sure. So, anything further from you about?
No, man, we've been going like nearly 2 hours. So
I know we have to. So, we had 2 episodes. So good thing we didn't have any news to go over. All right, that's it. Going to wrap us up for this week. We had a great time getting back into Star Wars live action for the first time since Ahsoka and August or whatever it was. So it's nice to get back there. And I can't wait to be back next week where we talk about the 3rd episode, whatever it's going to be called. We do have I mentioned we got the slash episodes, Lost/Found, Revenge/Justice. What's next?
Duality.
Week? It's a lot of duality, a lot of twins going on here. But yeah, I'm happy about that for sure. Matty, where can the folks find you? My social media handle is all platforms. Same with that, at Matty Warner. Come find me in. All right. If you want to talk about the Acolyte, you can leave us a comment. Well, just don't spoil anything upcoming. That's all. Yeah, don't spoil anything upcoming because I will find you and I will kill you. At Paul _ News on Twitter. You can find me all over this channel. Obviously, we have the big blue box with PJ and PLD as well, going every week while Doctor Who is on. Although next week we have a special guest host because PJ is going to Disneyland. Very special guests. We do. Seasonal co-host. Seasonal co-host of the PLD Project. Welcome to PLD Project's Kiwi Jess. This is the first time I'm officially announcing that because she agreed to do it last night. So it'll be kind of cool to have her on board. She's very, very much into Doctor Who. In fact, PJ and I have a three-way chat going with her on Twitter all the time. I'm talking about Doctor Who after every episode. So it almost feels like we're just bringing that chat to real life. We're just shifting PJ out for a little bit. That's all. You can find me also, of course, reviewing V with Lego every other week. Got an episode coming out next week for that. The V franchise called Review. And my Queen podcast every week. This week, Friday's episode, big song in the Queen catalog. Don't Stop Me Now. Can't wait for that one. A lot of fun recording that one as well. I think that's all the shows I do. I never quite know. We do have the other show coming up later this month, which we have to schedule, which we'll talk about soon. I'll announce that as soon as I make that date official, and we'll go from there. And that's it, guys. If you like us, subscribe. Patreon.com/PLD Projects. You can join that Patreon chat with me and Monty and everybody else. Great crew there. Awesome Cadell, Brandon Buckingham. Great crew. If you can't, I get it. Totally get it. Otherwise, you just like, subscribe, share us. Get this up there. Let's get this family together. We'll see you next week. And until then, as always, may the Force be with you. Always.